Hey folks, it's Woody here over at USA Made Blade and just coming to you from the shop tonight. Got another new knife for you that we're very excited to have in. This is the newest in the vintage series from Hinderer. And this is actually the first time we've ever done an overview on the vintage series because we've never been able to keep enough in stock. And on this one we ordered a whole bunch, so hopefully we'll be able to keep these around for a little while. But the vintage series, just to give you an idea, is something that Rick's had in his head for a while and been wanting to do, and all the knives are as vintage as humanly possible, keeping everything just an older, probably World War I style, I guess. I don't know the time period, but anyway, the steel on all the vintage knives is '01 tool steel, and which is a steel that's been around for a very long time, and it's all parkerized. All the blades are parkerized, so that's there to protect that because that '01 will rust. And then all the handles on all the vintage series are walnut. So in these we have the textured walnut, or I'm sorry, the smooth walnut, and then we have the textured walnut. Then we get into just all the little details on these. It's each one, I don't know what to call this finish. It's almost a matte finish. It's almost like they're battle green, but it's definitely flatter. I will tell you, it's a stunning finish, and no matter how hard we try with the camera and everything else, the camera's just not going to do it justice. But it is an absolutely beautiful finish. All the hardware on here is stainless steel that is heat anodized to give it that vintage look. And then even including the thumb studs, I mean everything, even the pocket clip screws, all the nuts, all the spacers, and all the handle screws. So even the pivot on both sides. So it really gives it a very cool, very vintage look. The only thing about this knife that really isn't vintage, I guess to say, is the fact that, and I think this is great, is that it's still on the tri-way pivot system. So you still get the option of putting bearings or washer or phosphor bronze washers or Teflon washers in it. Just a stunning knife. And the last detail of it that is important to know is that these walnut scales, both the smooth and the textured, these are not treated in any way. They're just oil rubbed walnut scales. So just like they used to do, it's on the old firearms. I mean, it's this is how they used to do it to maintain the firearms and get that wood look on them. So very cool. It's not a stabilized wood, so that does mean what I think's neat about these knives is that you got to give them some attention. You got to give them a little love. You got to oil that blade up to keep it from rusting. You got to put a little linseed oil on that scale and to keep it maintained and not drying out. So it's a knife that you can collect, you can certainly store, but a lot of people are using them. They love the '01 tool steel. If you've ever looked at a lot of the custom knives we sell are made from '01 because it's a fantastic steel. It'll take a beating and just keep on ticking. So anyway, just some specs on it real quick. We're not going to do size comparisons. I may do that at a later video, but there's plenty of videos out there showing the size of the 3-inch Hinderer. So it's the same size as all the other XM-18 3 inches that he's done out there. But it's the XM-18 3-inch spear point vintage model. It's 7 inches overall, 3-inch blade length, 0.14 on the blade thickness, and about 3.6 ounces per R scale. And just an absolutely stunning knife. Oh, and before I forget, the last thing, they are all serialized. So don't know how well the camera's picking that, but this is number 808. So that does not mean that they've made 808 3-inch spear points. They do the serialization throughout the run of vintages. So they've done a vintage Ranch Bowie, they've done a vintage 3.5 spear point. I think they've done two runs of the vintage Ranch Bowie. So yes, that serialized number keeps running through. So there's no way to get number 1 on the 3-inch spear point, because there was never a number one. There was never another 100. I think these started in about the 500, high 500 range, I believe is the serialization number that they started with. So we're very excited to have these in stock. It's an absolutely gorgeous piece. It's something that would be very cool to carry, and if you know, if you do get to use it in front of people, the people are going to ask about it. It's just an absolute talking piece for sure. Definitely one to add to the collection, or one to carry. I wouldn't be afraid to put one of these in my pocket. And we've already had customers that are buying both. They're going to use one and keep the other safe. So I appreciate everybody tuning in. These are now in stock over at usamadeblade.com, and we hope you'll go over there and pick one up.